Let us begin, quite gently, with the humble teaspoon, an often overlooked instrument of daily life. Unlike the grandeur of forks or the imposing presence of knives, teaspoons quietly do their work, stirring cups of tea, measuring small doses of medicine, or cradling desserts. Their story, unwinding slowly across centuries, is woven into the fabric of ordinary existence rather than grand events or upheavals. Taking a moment to consider what a teaspoon really is leads us gently to the question of measurement and ceremony. The very word teaspoon suggests its close association with tea, a beverage that itself drifted slowly and calmly into the households of Europe and beyond, carrying with it subtle rituals and objects like this small spoon. Slowly and steadily, as tea culture spread, teaspoons found their shape, size, and role defined, yet softly evolving. The teaspoon, small and unassuming, came to symbolize a routine rhythm of daily life, binding together moments of quiet shared respite in the morning or late afternoon, punctuated by the gentle clink against delicate porcelain cups. Before long, teaspoons would not only serve practical needs, but also echo shifting tastes and styles, speaking softly of the times they passed through. Tracing the origins of the teaspoon takes us back to a time when spoons, in general, were rather different from today's common shapes and sizes. Early spoons, made from wood, bone, or more precious materials, were often larger and less specialized. The very concept of a teaspoon evolved gradually, accompanying the rise of tea as a civilized pastime. In the 17th century, the importation of tea from Asia brought with it the necessity of new table manners and implements. Since tea required sugar, and sugar itself was becoming more accessible, spoons began to be designed for this particular ritual, a gentle, measured stirring of sweetness into one's cup. These early spoons, though modest, reflected the confluence of cultures and commerce. Craftsmen in England and later France began producing finely crafted spoons in silver, each bearing subtle variations in shape and decoration, quietly hinting at the owner's status and taste, without fanfare. They were neither grand nor ostentatious. Rather, they invited a slow appreciation of texture and form that suited the sober elegance of tea drinking. As the 18th century gently unfurled, teaspoons became more intimately linked to the social customs emerging around tea drinking. With the rise of coffee houses and tea salons, these small spoons quietly gained prominence as utensils of civility and decorum. Their size solidified into something close to our present teaspoon, the small curved bowl and subtly tapered handle shaped for stirring sugar or cream into tea or coffee without overwhelming the cup. Throughout this century, styles subtly shifted, reflecting broader artistic influences such as the Rococo and later the Neoclassical. Handles might feature delicate floral engravings or understated geometric designs, all modestly executed yet speaking to changing tastes. Importantly, the production of teaspoons became increasingly standardized due to advances in silversmithing and later the introduction of plated metals. Though still objects of modest luxury, teaspoons were becoming more widely available to the middle classes, and their quiet presence in homes underscored a slow democratization of tea culture. The ordinary act of stirring tea with a teaspoon thus became a small but meaningful gesture repeated countless times, connecting generations together through familiarity and habit.
The 19th century, marked by the Industrial Revolution's steady progress, saw teaspoons become even more commonplace, alongside the mass production of household goods. Where once silver teaspoons were precious, they now had counterparts in plated metals and eventually in steel, enabling broader accessibility. This shift subtly altered the relationship between people and their teaspoons. No longer reserved exclusively for the elite or even comfortably settled middle class, teaspoons entered into the realm of everyday utility. Factories in England, America, and continental Europe produced large quantities of spoons with often modest but consistent designs, eschewing intricate hand engraving for stamped patterns or simply graceful curves. The Victorian era's love of ritual still influenced spoon design. In some cases, specialized teaspoons appeared, such as those for salt or for measuring medicinal powders, reflecting a somewhat clinical attention to detail. During family meals or afternoon tea, teaspoons quietly reinforced routines and expectations, helping to sustain order in the domestic sphere. Their small size and gentle function remained steadfast, reminding us that even amidst change, some objects anchor us in repeated, familiar acts.
Interestingly, teaspoons also took on functional roles beyond the dining table, quietly anchoring themselves in medical and scientific use. Apothecaries in the 19th and early 20th centuries often used small spoons, similar in size to teaspoons, for measuring doses of powdered or liquid medicines. These spoons were carefully standardized, often marked with measurements and made from non-reactive metals, quietly underscoring the slow professionalization of medicine. In domestic settings, a teaspoon might be found alongside glass bottles and tinctures, facilitating the preparation of home remedies. This practical use further embedded the teaspoon into the rhythms of daily life, not only as an aid to nourishment, but to health and recovery, in a steady, reliable way. The non-sensational, practical nature of teaspoons made them steadfast companions, silently present wherever small precision was called for, without fanfare or fuss. As the 20th century progressed, teaspoons became increasingly standardized commodity items found across millions of households worldwide. Their designs often followed popular fashions in cutlery, but remained quite simple and unassuming, continuing to serve quietly in kitchens and dining rooms. New materials, such as stainless steel and various alloys, further democratized their production and durability. The gentle act of stirring a cup of tea or coffee, measuring a teaspoon of sugar, or enjoying a spoonful of dessert remained a quiet comfort, a small ritual embedded in everyday life. Throughout wartime shortages and post-war abundance alike, teaspoons retained a steady form, a quiet presence amid the shifting tides of history and culture. The slight variations in design, rounded versus pointed handles, embossed patterns, or smooth finishes, were small nods to taste, but never overwhelmed function, making teaspoons quietly reliable and unpretentious companions to daily routines. As homes modernized, teaspoons also found new uses, from laboratories to schools, quietly expanding their understated range of influence.
In more recent times, while the importance of teaspoons as standard utensils remained steady, we can also notice how they echo broader societal changes. For example, Designers have experimented with materials like bamboo or recycled plastics, reflecting contemporary environmental concerns. Others have revisited ornate designs, celebrating craftsmanship as part of slow, mindful living trends. Yet even in the simplest, most functional forms, the teaspoon gently communicates continuity, a bridge from past generations who used similar implements to stir their tea, mix medicines, or savor small desserts. The very shape remains remarkably constant, a small curved bowl and handle, reassuring in its familiarity. There is an understated comfort in this small object, humbly performing its quiet role day after day without fanfare. Not every piece of history must boast dramatic tales. Some histories, like that of the teaspoon, unfold in whispers, in repetitive motions, in intimate routines passed down quietly through time.
And so, with a gentle fold, we come to pause and appreciate that the teaspoon's history is one of quiet persistence and understated presence. Through centuries of shifting cultures, technologies, and tastes, this modest implement has remained a faithful companion to the small, intimate moments of daily life. It tells stories not of grand events or sweeping changes, but of ordinary people in their homes and shops, in peaceful routine and soft rituals. The teaspoon invites us to slow down and savor the comfort of simple actions, the stirring of tea, the measuring of sugar, the sharing of dessert. Like a gentle whisper from the past, it reminds us that history is not only recorded in monuments and battles, but also in the calm, repeated motions that shape our everyday. In that slow, steady unfolding, the teaspoon carries on through time, a small, unassuming testament to the quiet constancy of life's simplest pleasures.